now, so we might as well see, you know. And my plan was to be, by the time my daughter graduated, to be on my own and not need near assistance anymore. So with the escrow program, actually helped me achieve my goals a little sooner than I thought. And then there was another program that I went and sat in on, and it's kind of like helping you build your self-esteem and get your credit together. And I can't remember exactly. I still have the book, but for some reason I can't bring it up to the class that I went to. And that helped me get my credit in line. So I just started paying bills off. And
isn't that like a step up to leadership? Where they had different classes, different
we went for like a week to the program. And gosh, I wish I could remember, because that was a good program. I really enjoyed that.
I think that may have been, well, Step Up to Leadership was several weeks, but they've offered different ones, and I think we pulled you in to some of those. But
yeah, like you said, I was pretty down and out. I was having medical issues, work issues, family issues.
On your own issues.
Yeah, you know, just
raising children, single family.
Yeah, single mother, and I was fortunate enough that two of my kids' dad, well, same dad, but you know, he was a good provider when it come to child support or whatever, and if the kids needed something for, you know, sports or whatever, but that's pretty much all he was. You know, I'd be like, don't you think it's time to go see your dad? You know, kind of thing, but wasn't much help from my family because we're poor, you know. It was more me helping them than them helping me. We had a lot of deaths in the family around that time. And then I broke my knee, and that put me back a lot, you know. So it was just like, you know, every time I get ahead, I'd fall back some. I lost my medical insurance, blah, blah, blah. It was just like one thing after another. And I was like, oh, are we ever? And then finally I got a letter stating that I had like, oh, was it $5,000 in my escrow? And I'm like, okay, you know, because at one point in time, you know, right before I started the program and moved into the other house, I was only paying like $100 a month for my rent. And by the time I was done with the program, I was paying $700 and some odd dollars of my rent, which it was $900 a month. And still paying all my bills.
That's a lot of rent.
Yeah, yeah, it really was, considering I was only working a job less than $10 an hour. So that was.
Well, I know initially you had no job.
Yeah.
You were just totally down on you. And
Yeah.
you felt like you were hopeless. There was no way of coming out of it.
Yeah. Then I just was like, you got me on the program. We started working on my goals. And I went from there to just baby steps, you know. Every income tax I got, I set back money from it. And by the time I got the escrow check and what I had saved, I'd had almost $25,000.
That's amazing.
So I was able to...
your escrow check was around?
15.
15.
It was right around 15. And
so you had personally then saved about another 10?
Yep. And I took it all in, and actually my first thing I was going to do is I was going to build a cabin. So I had a family member that's into all that and everything, and he actually gave me a piece of land, and we were going to build the cabin on the piece of land that he had. And a big storm had come through the little town that I live in now, and the house was just demolished. I mean, roof, siding, everything. And I was able to buy the house for $10,000. So I took the other $15,000 and put into the house. And now I got pretty much a brand new house, you know.
What all did you have to do to the house?
I had to put a new roof on it, new siding, new gutters, I had to tear the kitchen and the bathroom completely out all the way down to the dirt and come back up. Luckily, I had family and friends that knew what they were doing and didn't charge me anything to help me do repairs on it. So that saved me a lot of money there. But now I got a 3-bedroom house, and the back of my house is actually set up where it's like a little 1-bedroom apartment, So if I needed to, I could rent that out and still help, you know, with my bills and stuff from all that, so. Which,
And you're free and clear of a mortgage.
I have no house payment at all. I have utility bills is all I have. So, yeah, that's pretty big. And now I'm starting up my own cleaning business, and not quite where I want to be yet, but just by the word of mouth, you know, I've gotten a handful of people, and once I start advertising, I think I'll do quite well down there. So
Good for you.
yeah, I have no kids living with me anymore. They didn't want to move with me to, you know, that's too far away, Mom, kind of thing. But that's about the only problem I do have, is not being real close to the kids. That gets me.
But they've all grown up.
Oh yeah, my daughter graduated on the 10th. So all three of my kids graduated within this time of me being, because actually I lived in Laurie City, and I believe her name was Irene, who ran the Osceola. Yes, and I had went to her, and I was really down then. I mean, I had nothing. I just split up with my husband and had 3 kids to take care of, and I was trying to work. I had 3 little jobs down there, and it just wasn't working. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I went to her, and it was like maybe 2 months later, I was moving to Belton, and I was pretty lucky on that too, because they had just built a bunch of duplexes up there, and I was the first one to live in the brand new duplex, which I couldn't wait to get out of that once I was there for a year, because I couldn't have a garden or, you know, trampoline or anything like that for my kids. And it was a big change from the country to the city. So I was like culture shocked anyhow.
But you were on the housing choice voucher in St. Clair County, and then transferred to the Cass County.
I requested to move to Belton, Missouri, because I had family that lived close to there. And I mean, it just happened so quick. It was just, couldn't believe it, you know. I was like thinking I was going to have to be on the list forever, and you know, that it's going to take me a while to be able to get my voucher to be able to move on. And it was the best thing I ever did. Like I said, it was better education for my children, better opportunities for me. And yeah, I mean, I got nothing good to say about the, you know, I have nothing but good things to say about the program and you too, Kate. Because, you know.
So Jay, tell me about, I'm sure you had barriers along the way while you were on the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. So talk a little bit about those barriers and what motivated you, or who motivated you to get past those barriers so that you could see that light.
Well, Kay had a lot to do with it, I have to say. You know, you encouraged me. Like I said, I'd come to you bawling, and now I'm bawling happy tears, you know. You know, I just don't know how I'm going to do it, blah, 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 and you just hang in there, you'll do it. And anytime there was a program available that, you know, might have helped me in the future, you were like, would you like to do this? And, you know, I have to say I was doing well enough where I didn't have to come and ask for utility help and stuff like that, you know, because I've always been one to take care of, you know, I don't like to ask for nothing. I'm kind of stubborn like that. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for you and giving me the opportunity. And once I got on that program, I was like, all right, I'm going to make this work. Because my kids are going to be grown up and they're going to be gone, and then who's going to be there to take care of me? You know, I got to take care of myself, and I thought the best way to do that would be to purchase my own home, and that way, you know, I didn't think I was going to be able to have everything paid for and be able to, you know, actually not worry as much as, because I was a worrywart all the time worrying. You know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? When you don't have, you know, anybody there beside you to encourage you and help you. I hate this. You were a big part of that, Kate. And you were struggling with your own issues, and as soon as you come back to work, you're like, hey, Jenny. Yeah. And I was like, I'm so glad to hear from you, you know, because the other ladies were good to me there, but I don't know, you spoke to me.
Connected.
We did, we really did. And she's just like, is there anything, just she'd call me out of the blue, is there anything I can do to help you, or is there anything you need? And, you know, I was being stubborn, no, I'm good, I just blah, blah, blah. But if there was anything that you thought, you know, at the time, like my medical issues or whatever, well, here's some numbers, see if you can call and get help there. And,
I think we linked up to anything West Central had offered, you know,
Yeah.
like the back to school program.
yes.
We had some different credit cleanup classes and budgeting classes, and you were a saver.
No, I tried to, you know, go to anything that that I could on that end, and some of the other ladies, you know, I have actually told a lot of people about this program, you know, because I know a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of single mothers and fathers for that matter, you know, and they're barely making it from paycheck to paycheck, and you know, I know it takes a long time to get on the housing sometimes, but I'm like, just don't give up. Make sure if you move, you tell them, blah, blah, blah. And when you do, ask for the program, the escrow program, where, you know, they'll put a portion of your rent money, because it's your money still, you're paying your landlord, but they're putting it in a bank for you and, you know, saving it. So, you know, it really made a big difference, and a lot of people don't know about this program. You know, I had no clue.
We tried to get the word out. We really
Yeah,
did.
so well, I'm a good spokesperson for
Good
that,
for you.
because all the girls that, you know, I know or whatever, I'm like, well, you know, like my niece, she's 23, got a small child, of course, is doing it on her own, and I'm like, you really need to go sign up for Section 8, because, you know, they can help you in more ways than you ever thought they could. Don't know that she has, but I've encouraged her.
We try to tell people it's money that is set aside for you, but it's not your money until you meet the goals.
You do what you gotta do.
that were set out for
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
So, and it's a flexible goal assessment.
Yeah, I mean, we had 5 years to do it, and you know, there was times when I just felt like packing up and leaving, and you know.
I remember those days.
Yeah, you know, I'm just like, I can't do it here no more, and the city's so much more expensive than, you know, living in the country. I mean, we just paid off a house here in Appleton City, which was only $275 a month, and, well, the ex did or whatever, but, you know, that payment was totally, you know, this big compared to the payments up there or anything, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to go and buy a home. I had my credit and everything done, but I didn't want to spend $150,000, $200,000 and be in debt. And then what if something was to happen where I couldn't work or something, and then I lose it all? You know, I couldn't take that chance. Which I'm a country girl anyhow, so I wanted to go back to the country. But
What was the first job once you enrolled in the FSS program? What was the first job that you started?
I think that would have been when I worked at Casey's General Store up there in Belton.
And then from there, where did you go?
And from there I went to Integrity Home Care, which I worked there almost 10 years with different clients and stuff, so.
And did you increase your certifications as far as a CNA or CNA?
I should have went further with it than I did, but I am qualified for hospice. I can do hospice, and I have worked with mentally and disabled people of all ages now, and I just got such a big heart that even the people that I did take care of there, which I was actually able to take care of my dad for 4 years through integrity, and it was the best 4 years I ever had with him, you know. So I know that kind of sounds like, oh, you get paid to take care of your dad, but it was a job. Somebody had to be there to do it. And then, you know, I had another little lady I took care of at the same time. So that was a lot, you know, dealing with everybody else's medical issues and their everyday home life, you know. And I still have a little lady, well, a couple ladies that I took care of, and they call me all the time. And I go up and help them out every now and then. And, you know, like one's coming home from the nursing. She was put in a nursing home because she fell and broke her femur and her foot in like several places. And she's like, are you gonna be there, Jenny, when I come home? I need you for at least a few days, blah, blah, blah. Well, how can I tell her no? You know, of course I'm gonna be there, you know, so I've made some good friends from there. And actually, you know, there's a couple girls there at West Central and Belton that, you know, I watched their struggle and watched them achieve, and, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm proud of them girls too, you know. There was, I want to say her name was Shelley. She used to work at the desk up there, and she had went through the escrow program and was still just building money in the bank because she didn't know exactly what she wanted to do with hers yet, you know. And that was something you offered to me too, you know, that after the 5 years, because I'm like, well, what happens in 5 years, you know, am I, you know, my kids are going to be gone, am I going to be, you know, if I get the money, you know, it could be a little bit, it could be a lot. I says, am I going to be homeless? She goes, you'll never be homeless. And you did. You said, well, one way or another, we'll make it work. And that helped a lot, you know, and because, you know, kids turn 18, you know, a lot of times, you know, nobody wants to help you. You know, and at that time I wasn't getting no kind of, only thing I was getting was my child support, which was only $150 a week for 2 kids when I had 3. But I had very little coming in, and I just had to learn to budget. That's what it was, a budget something program, now that I'm thinking of it.
Okay.
But I had to learn to budget, and you know, I mean, we didn't do without, but they're like, you got this? No, I don't have this, because that $100 was getting put back or whatever for, you know, the future to come. But, you know, when I finally did receive the check, it was just like, it really got it. You know, it was in my hand. I actually really got it. So then it was all, like I said, up from there. I was just able to, now I'm secure where I'm at, you know. I don't have to worry about anybody telling me I have to move or getting kicked off a program over, you know, something silly or whatever, you know, because.
And you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm
starting your own
still,
business.
yeah, I'm still, of course, going to try to better myself as I go, you know. And right now it's just me, so I don't need much to live off of. But I would still like to have a retirement, you know, at some point in time, because that's where I'm at now. You know, it's like, okay, when I first got down there, I was thinking I wanted to go do warehouse or something. That way I'd have a 401 and some kind of backup and all that. But I have a bad knee, I have a bad back, and sometimes I can't stand on my feet for 8 hours a day. So I was just kind of, okay, so what am I going to do here? So right now I just...
You're still building for the future.
That I am.
Can I take you back a minute?
Mhm.
So as Kay was talking about goal setting, the beauty of this program is the goals are not set by us.
No, they're set
The
by
goals
us.
are set by you.
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about what that was like working with Kay in the very beginning, because what Kay's job then is to find out who Jenny is and what is it that you want to do and how she can help you get through that. So let's talk a little
I
bit
think
about
some of my
that
goals
first.
in the very beginning were, okay, I was going to be a nail tech, I think is what I started out being. I wanted to further my education by getting my GED, and all along I wanted to be a homeowner. That was number one. That was, you know, I just want to get where I can buy my own home and be secure in, you know, my own little spot.
Did I ever tell you, dream dreams?
Yes, you did, and you always encouraged me to go, you know, to better myself. You always, you know, what can we help you with? What, you know, what do you see in your future? You know, and my biggest thing is I've always been a mother, you know, so it was always about my kids. Okay, I want them to go to college. I want them to do this and this. And then I had to step back and look, well, okay, Jenny, what do you want? You know? And at that time, I was also cleaning houses on the side too, and was doing pretty good about that. Actually, I got one lady that I cleaned for 12 years now. And her husband is a professor at KU, and once a year I go up and clean the apartments that they own up there. And that was like an extra $1,000 I could throw back into this, that's actually, every year I'd put that money back towards my home. And, my goals changed along the way. I didn't no longer want to be an LTech, It was a struggle for me to find the time to go to school, there was challenges, and then, like I said, I'd be working 2 jobs, and then something would happen, and I'd lose that job. Never was I fired, I'd lose it over my health issues or whatever, which at one point in time I even tried filing for disability because I just thought, like, I'm just never gonna, I'm never gonna get ahead, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, no, Jenny, you're too young for this, And with this opportunity that you guys gave me on this, I didn't have to buy a home with it or anything. It was my money to use for whatever I thought, I needed. And I couldn't see any other thing that I need more,
Good for you.
Yeah, and like I said, okay, you are a very special person.
Well, you are.
Because, no, you really are. You got a kind heart. And you want to see people achieve and do well. And, I know you've had a lot of people probably just drop out, no, whatever the issue is, they're no longer on the program or no longer in the housing, blah, 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 because it wasn't because of you, because you encouraged and would do anything for anybody, if they asked. And that's just the kind of person you are on that. And we did miss you while you was gone a while. I'm like, when's Kay coming back? When's Kay coming back? Is she okay? They're like, well, I don't know. And they really couldn't tell me anything. And then when you're back, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you're back.
We are family.
Yes, we are. And West Central's helped me not once, but twice when I first had my first child. Gotta say, he was a deadbeat dad, blah, blah, blah. I had nowhere to go, nothing to do. And didn't know what I was gonna, do or anything. And I was able to get on the program at pretty quick pace, considering it's a lot easier down in the country than it is in the city, to, I don't know, just get everything rolling. There's not as many people needing, I guess, or whatever. But, can't remember her name either right now, but she took me under her arm also and said no problem. So I was on the program for maybe 3 years and was able to get off of it then because, I started a family with someone else and blah, blah, blah. And then when it come down to it, when that relationship 13 years later didn't work, I'm like, well, maybe West Central will help me again. And you ladies have, I don't know what I would have done without the whole, the whole system here.
Well, you're definitely an overcomer, and you have shown the world that what you've done, and this is awesome. We're so proud
Well,
of you.
I don't feel that I am, but thank you. I just feel like I should be doing what every other mother should be doing, trying to, better their situation. And I'm a stubborn person, so like I said, to ask for help from somebody that's just not me, But I knew I needed your guys' help, and there was times I had to come to the pantry.
Did you feel like it was help, or that it was providing you a hand up?
Well, at first it was just, the help to keep me a roof over my head and my kids' head. And then once the program was offered to me, I'm like, because I hadn't heard of anybody else on the program or anything at that time, and it's like 5 years, that's a long time, Well, I don't have nothing but time right now too. And then I didn't look at it more as a handout because I set my goals. I'm the one who had to, do what I had to do to continue to be on the program. And the goals that we set and were encouraged were nothing that was obscene or anything, it's something that could have been.
It was attainable.
Yes, anybody could have done it, it's just all about what they wanted to do and how they wanted to better themselves.
And how did you feel every time you achieved one of those goals?
I felt excellent, especially, through just paying off all my back bills and stuff, even if it was just $20 this month or whatever, you know, it was. I eventually, when it come down to it, it was getting close. I'd say the year before I had received the check, I started feeling where, well, you got this, Jenny. You're going to be able to be fine, because, you know, at that point, 2 of my kids had moved out, and I just had my daughter then, and you know, I knew she'd be wanting to leave as soon as she could, because she's just as stubborn as me. So, you know, I was just like, you know, it's time that I step up to the plate and do what the best I can and achieve my goals and get to a place where I'm going to feel like I have something, you know, because as a kid, we never had anything. We just hopped from one school to the next and house to house. My parents never had anything. And throughout this time, I've had to bury both of my parents. And I had to pay for it. And actually, I'm still paying on my dad's funeral. But, like I said, when it comes down to it, you're the only one who's going to take care of you. You know, nobody else was there saying, here's some money towards this or whatever, you know, but I made sure that it was a decent burial and that everything was taken care of then, because I also had a lot of his bills in my name. And he did pass away. So I had a lot of extra bills I had to take care of on that, because I knew it would go on my credit. So just keeping everything flowing and going was a challenge. You know?
Sure. But what a daughter you have been.
I wouldn't trade it.
And what that shows your kids.
Well, you know, I hope to think that I know my daughter is headstrong. She's whatever. And I've got the problem child, the oldest kid, that's given me a lot of problems here and there. And he's 26 years old, and I'm still worrying about him. You know, are you ever going to grow up and get it together? Then I got a 22-year-old son that owns his own home already. Just bought his first brand new car. You know, he's looking to get married and have kids, and you know, and so kind. I mean, you know, I got the one that drives me crazy, loves me to death. He's my best friend kind of thing. Then I got my baby boy that just, you know, couldn't ask for a better kid. And then my daughter, you know, when I did buy this house and stuff, she chose not to come home with me. So that was hard, because the last couple months of school, she stayed up in the city. But of course, she had found her a boyfriend and was not coming home. Because I encouraged her to come to Pitt State and go to college and stuff there. And no, so now she's struggling, but she's doing it. She's got her own place, and you know, we helped get her a car, and she's going to be just fine. So my kids learn, you know, they know their mom will go beyond whatever it takes. If they was to call right now, okay, whatever it is, I'll be there for you, blah, blah, blah. I may not be able to help them a lot financially, but I'm there no matter what. And she's just like me, so I know she's going to be fine. You know, you worry about your daughters more than you really do your boys. Your boys, you know, they're men, they do their thing, but when your little girl, and she kind of got me, well, you just moved away and abandoned me. Oh, no, I didn't move away and abandon you. You had the opportunity to come with me, and I actually was going to stay there until school got out. And she was always with her boyfriend. She wasn't coming home, blah, blah, blah. Which, you know, she's 18. She could do what she wanted to do, you know. So I'm like, well, this is your choices. You either go stay with your dad, get your own place, or stay with his family, or move with mom. Well, of course, she chose to stay with his family at that time, and like I said, now she's got her own little apartment, and she's a manager at Freddy's fast food thing, and you know, she just graduated, and I'm like, well, what do you want to do now? What's your plans? She goes, well, I'm not going to school, Mom. I was like, oh my gosh, come on now, you know, you need to just get right back into school. But she actually goes from state to state and helps open up other Freddy's right now. And She goes, Mom, I'll own my own store before you know it. So she's got high goals. I put that in
That's
her.
good.
You know, I've installed that in her that she wants to go all the way if she's going to do something. So very smart kids, and I wouldn't have been able to afford to live up in Belton if it wasn't for the help of West Central. You know, so that was a blessing. Because nothing's cheap up there, especially, you know, I mean, rent is ridiculous and just keeps going up, you know, so I can see where you pretty much have to have two families in one home, or you and your husband both have to be working. It's just, yeah, it takes a lot nowadays, it really
Well, we're
does.
just so proud of you that you had the foresight to look ahead and dream dreams and accomplish those goals and be a homeowner.
And I
You're
am, and
just
that's all I
amazing.
really wanted, you know, is my own home. That's number one, and I've got a huge yard. I'm going to actually show you some pictures.
I was hoping you brought pictures.
I got a huge dog and a huge yard and a little dog, and I'm good with that. Okay, I had my cousin come down and take a picture this morning, which it doesn't really show how big my house is, but it shows my house. Okay, where is my gallery at?
It is so good to see such an awesome attitude that you have, because I can just remember back those days.
Oh, I
The
just,
depression you were in.
yeah, and I get that way still, some, like I said, but the only thing I have really to be depressed about now is my kids, you know, not being with me constantly. Here's a picture of the front of my house.
Isn't that awesome? Nice home.
Yeah, and it's all one level, so that's all good in the end too, because if I get old, I don't have to worry about walking up steps if I get
If
old.
you get old.
Oh,
I see that.
but I have here's a better view of just, let's see if we can flip. Probably have to turn
Can you
rotation
send
on.
me pictures
Yeah.
to my email or?
Well, I don't know what just happened there. But this is just the front part of my house. Back behind there is a whole nother, well, that's where the whole one bedroom is behind the house. But from this view, there, you can't tell that there's a
Nice.
whole nother. But I have pictures of before, what my house looked like before, and oh my goodness, it's been quite the journey. But I'll send you some of the before pictures.
What would you
and,
say, how much would you say the value increased?
Um,
From the
I
value of it when you first saw it to what all the,
just had the
What
county
you did.
assessor come out, and my house is appraised at $55,000, and I've got 25 in it altogether. So that's pretty good, and I still have a little bit of work that needs to be done. When the storm come through, I don't have a garage anymore because it tore that down. But, you know, I knew that before I bought it. And then I got a back porch that still is, I've already paid for it. It's got to be replaced. So, because it's got a back patio back there and stuff, so. But,
yeah, I would like
Yeah.
some of the before pictures and after pictures if you have them.
yeah, I do have them. Like I said, I'd have to look up. I'd have to go back a ways because I've been working on the house since, well, whenever I received the first check, or the check from you. Actually, I had give the money that I had before I got the check, because you had told me that that I was going to get the check and that it would be just like a month ahead of that time, and then something had happened, and you were out from work on whatever, on that medical leave or whatever, and I never heard nothing back, and then finally I called and I'm like, well, what's going on? Kay's not here and blah blah blah. So because I'd already given $10,000 to the roofer and the gutter guy, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, because I was able, you know, to go ahead and start working on the house before it got more damaged. and which, you know, it was her loss and my gain on that end, because the lady had lived there since the early 90s, and she had just let the house go. I mean, literally, when I went in, you couldn't tell all the damage because there was so much stuff still in the house. And when I started getting into it, like I said, we went all the way from the ground up. New plumbing, it had a new furnace and air conditioner unit, but it was like spaghetti up there. Nothing was hooked up, nothing. I don't know what the reason was for all that. So of course I had to have the electrician come in, and well, they're all family, but plumber come in, and then we done all the floors. And the only thing I'm lacking right now in my house is I have no kitchen cabinets. Well, those are pretty expensive, and you know, you don't just want to put anything in there. So, but I can live with that. You know, I've got it set up where I'm still doing.
One step at a time, one room at a time. You will get there.
Yeah, it's and the week that I moved into the house, I had no plumbing at the front of my house at all, because, you know, we were still doing or whatever, and I was going to live in the back of my house. The pipes froze up in the back of my house, so then I had no water at all. So I'm like, instead of fixing this, we're fixing this. And a week after that, you know, the front of my house was working. Now I still got to do the back of my house, which is no big deal, because, you know, there's only a sink and a shower and a kitchen sink back there. So when I go to redo it, it's not going to cost me hardly anything to get it done. So it all just seemed to work out one way or another. And I thank God, because, you know, if it wasn't for him, you know, and, you know, certain other, you know, I got a couple good people in my life that would do anything and help me out and has encouraged me, because, like I said, I get pretty depressed here and there, and I do have to be on meds because of it, which a lot of it is just from the past, you know, just everything, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to keep my emotions under, you know, and
well, the beautiful thing is, you were saying that you grew up in poverty, but
very much so.
But you have chosen a different direction for you and your family, and you've just overcome. You are.
I have, and I got to give myself a pat on the back for that, because if it wasn't for me, if I didn't grow up that way, then I wouldn't have wanted it so much, you know. And if it wasn't for the opportunity you guys give me, I would get there, but it was going to take me a long time still yet to get there. So, and worse, you know, I didn't want to live with none of my kids or anything. Is that Toby's like, Mom, I'll build you a guest house, and Dad, I want. I'm like, no, I'll pass on that, son. Hopefully I'll never have to live with you. But, yeah, it's all worked out good, and like I said, I feel that if it wasn't for West Central, my kids have been down here, and I lived here in Appleton City for a long time. And all these kids now are 25, almost 30 years old, and some are doing well, but some aren't doing so good, you know. And we've lost a lot of kids in this area. You know, I don't know how long you've been here or whatever, but I had moved one of my girlfriends down here, and she had been here for 2 weeks, and there was a bad car accident on Halloween night.
Oh boy.
And my best girlfriend's daughter was killed in that accident. And it was, you know, it made me feel really, really bad, because I had just brought her down here, you know, but she was out with the kids from school, just made friends, first outing, you know, and they were going too fast on the gravel road. Last year, my daughter did the same thing down here on this gravel road and almost died.
Oh my.
Yeah, she had flipped the car several times and ended up in a field on the same gravel road.
Oh my.
And we also had a little gal that lived down the street from us. She passed away because, not the gravel road, but same road, you know, going to it. And I've always feared that, you know, the kids down here don't have much to do. You know, so they get out and about, and they gravel road, and they drink, and they whatever. And not that my kids don't still come down here and hang out with these kids and stuff, but, you know, I mean, my daughter wasn't drinking that night, thank God, but she was going way too fast. and that freaked me out, you know. So I'm just like, we can't go through that again, never again. Actually, I was pregnant with Shelby when that happened, so, but there was 5 kids in the car, and yeah, it was pretty bad deal down here.
Wasn't aware of that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's doing well now.
Yeah, she, well, the mom went kind of crazy for a long time. She's just now back to reality in life, and that's been, well, Shelby's 18, so that's been 18 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was just like, once, you know, things went sour on this end, I'm like, I gotta get my kids up out of this town. Not that I don't love this little town, you know, because I do, but this was his hometown with his family and stuff, so I was just like, okay. So, but I'd freak out every time, you know, my kids come down here, especially once they started driving. It's just like, stay off the gravel roads, just cruise Main Street. Yeah, that didn't happen.
If you were giving advice to someone like yourself that was new to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, what would your choice of words be to them, or how would you breathe inspiration back into them?
Well, I'm pretty good at that, I guess, because, you know, I'm always trying to lift people up instead of myself, kind of thing. But, you know, especially the younger generation, you know, so many young adults are having children, and, you know, and we know most likely it's not going to work out for them anyhow. But like my niece, you know, I've told her she works, you know, does what she can. She still lives with her mother now, but I've encouraged her to go to West Central and sign up for the program, and then of course ask about the escrow program too, because she's young and she could still do it. And like I said, you're working to achieve your goals, you know, and with this program you feel, you know, you're paying more in rent the more you work, because I felt like that a lot of times. The more I worked, the less, like, I didn't no longer get no Medicaid, I didn't get no food stamps, I didn't get, you know, I didn't get no help outside. And it's like everything keeps going up except for my paycheck. Every time, you know, I get to going good, my rent would go up. But then I started looking at it, well, I'm getting a portion of this put back, and I'm eventually going to be doing something, so I'm actually saving money. You know, it's like money in the bank, you know, and if you have the choice to do your goals, I'm glad that you guys have the GED programs and stuff up there now, because for a long time they didn't have that up there, you know, and, you know, just...
Not everyone catches the vision.
They don't,
Some
and you
people
guys
do.
also, you know, with the Head Start program, all 3 of my children were in the Head Start program. That helped me a lot there too, you know.
So you've utilized various programs with
I have,
agencies.
yes, I've
And
taken
hopefully-
advantage of everything I
Hopefully
could,
we've
basically.
linked you to those directions as well.
And you have, and I've encouraged, you know, well, I make too much money. No, you probably don't. Just look into the program. You know, like with everybody's struggling for a babysitter nowadays, you know, and they just don't want to leave their kids with whoever. Well, West Central's Head Start program, all 3 of my kids went through that program, and it was awesome. You know, not only that, you didn't have to worry about feeding them 2 times a day. You know, they went and they ate there, you know. But my kids were extra smart too. By the time they got into kindergarten, you know, they were advanced already. So, I mean, I'm sure there's more programs I don't know about that you guys, you know, help with. Like I said, I've used the pantry, I've used the Head Start. And not this time around, but I have had help with utility bills before.
I know we've linked you to the employment training office
And
at
the-
times,
yeah,
and computer lab.
Yeah.
And
And for the unemployment stuff and blah, 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 yeah. So, you know, and I would tell a lot of people about that too, that they could go up to West Central and get on the computer and, you know, do a resume, or, you know, help with their unemployment and to find jobs, you know, and, you know, just like your billboards with the housings. You know, you're looking for a place, you're on here, because I remember when I started, I literally had to go find a landlord. Like when I lived in Windsor, hey, would you be interested in putting your house on Section 8? Because they'll pay you, and, you know, and I have helped.
a PR person right here.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally helped paint that house or whatever to get into that, because, you know, especially in your small town, there's only so many resources that you do have, and and they're like, well, like once I moved out of the duplex up there, it took me 6 months to find a house because I was determined. I'm going to find me a house. I can't live on top of people because that's just not me. But once I did, it was like, well, I don't know if I should record this or not, but he didn't really want to rent to me until I told him exactly how much they were paying for rent at the other place. Oh, well, I haven't had my bill or my rent high enough then. So of course he jacked it up to exactly what they knew, which hurt me in the long run because I was paying more money. But it got me my house, my garden, I had great neighbors. I lived there for 8 years. Never had a problem with my landlord, ever, or none of my neighbors. It was home. You guys gave me a home. That's what you did. You actually, from there to now, because I did feel like it was my home. And from the beginning, he knew that I wasn't going to be moving out of that house until my daughter graduated. That was my terms of finding a house, that I was going to be there until all 3 of my kids were gone. And we did that, so he ended up being a great guy. But he's like, what, I got my stuff too low over here or what?
Any other questions that we need to?
I'm sorry, I just blab along, so please edit that and cut out a bunch of that.